Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope and pray that you guys are doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about how we are to set the tone as leaders in our organization. And throughout this video, I'm just going to talk about the importance of self-development as you step into roles of leadership, as you are working on your nonprofits, your programs, or you're part of an existing nonprofit or social impact organization, and you're just wanting to step into more of a managerial or executive role. I think a lot of times when we begin building out programs and all the things, we go into this, day-to-day, let's get it done, type of mentality. And with that, sometimes we neglect the importance of leadership development itself. I'm just going to talk about some tips and different things that I have personally experienced throughout my journey in the social impact space. And I hope that this information will be very helpful to you guys that come across this channel. So let's get started. So unfortunately, I feel like quite a few of us can relate to having a bad work experience where you weren't treated fairly by your boss, poor HR, requirements such as paid time off, paternity or maternity leave, salary, wages and benefits, and so forth. And a lot of us probably have self-examined ourselves as we have engaged with those that we report to, and you may have found yourself saying, if I was a leader, if I was supervising this team, I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z that way. And so it's very interesting that, we can point out all of the flaws in those that we report to who are in positions of leadership. But when we step into leadership roles, a lot of times we have unintentional blinders that we aren't aware of. And so because you are looking to launch a social impact project or program or organization, it's important that in the early stages of development, as you are doing all of the building around, building successful programs and doing the evaluation methods and the marketing and communications and everything that comes along with building a social impact project, you also want to make sure that you invest in yourself. And so with that, I'm going to start off with my first question that I want you guys to think about as you are engaging and reflecting on where you stand in the form of leadership. Do you have what it takes to be a leader? Are you ready to lead? And most people now are like, yeah, I'm doing this, I can do it. But there's a lot more to leadership than just the mundane tasks that you do. When you are leading others, you are literally responsible for them in a professional manner. And a lot of individuals are now relying on you for vision, for guidance, for direction, for correction. And you have to be okay with who you are as a person and understanding how your personality shows up in the professional space. And as you are developing your programs and projects, it's also important to think about what team members do I need to balance out who I am. So for example, if you're more of an analytical person, it may be great to have a counterpart that is more creative in nature that can help bring perspective and bring balance to who you may be as a professional. Some people say that your personal life and your professional life shouldn't overlap. You should leave that at the door. But in today's society, I think that that's changing. We saw with COVID how the world literally had to pivot. People had to pivot. The employers and the leaders had to pivot how we traditionally approach work in the 9 to 5 and the different things that we have done traditionally. And we're realizing now that a lot of our personal things are coming into the workspace and the workplace. And so how do you navigate those things? And if you aren't aware of who you are as an individual, your core beliefs as an individual, how will you be able to show up and be able to lead others and develop others on their professional journeys? I think that is so important to take the time to do some soul searching. Soul searching can be very daunting. It can be an ugly process because you have to highlight the good qualities about you, but you also have to reflect on areas where you fall short, or areas where you may have unconscious biases, and a lot of different identities that people carry. And so you have to be mindful early on of who you are, what you believe in, what you want to see this organization or this program to become, because the biggest cheerleader in your corner is going to be you. And if you don't believe in yourself and believe that you can do what you are setting out to do, how can you get someone else to understand the value in your program or project? As you guys are beginning to think about who you are as leaders and your leadership styles and personalities and different professional development opportunities that you would like to engage in, the second question that you guys should consider thinking about is, what is your leadership style? I took a leadership development course in graduate school, and it was really life-changing because there were so many different types of leadership styles, and it was very eye-opening to kind of see, okay, do I think like this or do I think like that, and where do I fall under? And I believe that everything isn't absolute as far as your leadership style. I believe that you can start out one way, and as you gain more experience and you evolve, your leadership style can change over time. I also think that the industry that you're in, or the sector that you're in, can kind of determine how you show up for your employees and your team. And so there may be some spaces where more analytical skill sets are required, whereas others may require more of a creative ability. That's a part of your leadership skill set. And I wrote down some leadership examples that are most popular that I found, throughout my studying and research. So the first one that most people are familiar with is transformational leadership. You have transactional leadership. You have servant leadership, you have laissez-faire leadership, and then you have authoritative leadership. And I can go into more detail about what each of these mean, because like I said, I learned about, I think, over 12 types of leadership styles, and it was just very interesting to see which leadership types I fell under, because I actually fell under 2 or 3, but my top one was servant leadership. And so I think it's important to have an idea of your leadership style, and while you are understanding your personal leadership style, research other leaders that are in your industry that have similar leadership styles. That's something that I have done in the past, and I still do. I'm inspired by those that have went before me and are paving the way for me in the social impact space, different social entrepreneurs or businessmen and women that are similar in thought process to me, to see how they got to where they are. And some people say, well, is a leader born or are they made? Meaning, are you born with certain leadership qualities, or can you learn leadership along the way? And in my personal opinion, I think it's a mix of both. But again, learning what your fundamental leadership style is, or a combination of the different leadership styles, can be helpful as you are seeking out those professional development activities, finding different organizations to join, as you are wanting to develop a better repertoire of people that you can connect with, as well as skills that you can pick up along the way. But one thing that I do want to say as I wrap up this second question, I think the best leadership development that you could ever get is experience. You don't know until you go through something. You don't know until you make a mistake or you do something well. And through those experiences, you are able to say, okay, this worked or this didn't. I would do this different, or I would keep this on my toolkit. And so again, just making sure that you guys take the time to understand the different type of leadership styles out there and which speak most to your personality type in the industry that you're in will be very beneficial as you are continuing to develop your nonprofit programs and such, so that when you step into that leadership role as the executive director, as the founder and CEO, as the volunteer coordinator, as whatever the case may be, you are aware of how you show up in professional spaces. So we all are aware of, different seasons where things are going well and things aren't going so well. And you may have seen that in the workplace where there is a lot of layoffs, unfortunately, because leadership is trying to cut down on the budget, or you have been a part of an organization where they are looking for people, period, because they have all these positions open, but not enough talent to fill them. And so this leads into question 3 that I want you guys to think about as you are developing your social impact work. How will I lead in seasons of adversity, in seasons of prosperity? And this is a question that I think a lot of us don't think about, but I think it's so important to be aware of how you show up when you're under pressure versus when things are going well. I think we all, of course, want our businesses and nonprofits and programs to thrive, but you will have seasons where, there may not be enough funding to really do the things that your organization is looking to do. You may have to lay off some of your staff. You may just have to make tough decisions that you want to be able to understand how you will be able to show up in those situations. And again, you won't really know until you get into the work. You won't really know until certain things happen. For example, I don't think any leader was really ready for COVID. In a global pandemic that shifted the landscape of the entire world. However, you can have safety nets of habits and things that you do regarding your budget, regarding your HR policies, regarding, professional development for yourself, for your executive team, and for your employees and other teams that you have, so that if the time ever comes, you guys are able to know what you are planning to do. It's like in every home, I believe you should have an emergency kit. You should have certain things. Yeah, we may not get a hurricane, but in case we do, in case the power goes out, in case we aren't able to get to a grocery store to get water and groceries, we have enough supplies available in that emergency kit or emergency closet until we're able to figure out what the next best step is. And again, it goes back to your personality type. Some people do not handle stress well. Are you one of those leaders that do not handle stress well? Or are you one of those that do, and you're able to handle situations in a calm and, relaxed manner while still being, aware of the things that are going on? Again, when you are stepping into any form of leadership where you're supervising a team, that team is looking to you. And so it's okay to have maybe an internal moment of panic, but you want to make sure that you are cool, calm, and collected so that you're keeping your staff motivated as you guys are in your seasons of adversity. And even when you're in your seasons of prosperity, it's still good to make sure that you have those mechanisms in place so that you guys are able to run a well-oiled machine and, be able to thrive in that season in case adversity does come along the way. So my final question that I wanted to bring up for you guys to consider as you are assessing your leadership style and your personality and how those two show up in the professional space for you is, what systems do I need in place to assess how I am leading my organization? And when I talk about systems, I'm not necessarily talking about the systems that are in place for your organization. I hinted at that with question 3, but this question is primarily talking about your personal systems. You cannot be an effective leader if you are not pouring into yourself as you are pouring out with your staff and running the operations of your organization. And so it's so important that you protect yourself in those systems so that you are able to maximize yourself and how you show up and making sure that you are making maximum impact in the work that you do. Some of us have probably seen some of the greatest leaders fall where, they were beautiful communicators, effective in the work that they did, very smart and knowledgeable in their area of expertise, but because of different things, whether that be a lack of integrity or being burnt out or whatever the case may be, they weren't able to maintain leadership. I'm a personal believer that leadership is not just a position, it's a lifestyle. So how you carry yourself in your personal life will bleed into how you lead in an organization. And so it's important to think about, before you even step into a leadership role, what is it that I need to do to make sure that I am my best self for my family, for my friends, for those that report to me, and those that I will be engaging in this space. That could be as simple as, I know I need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know that I need to make sure that I have 3 healthy meals a day. I know that I enjoy working out. And so I want to make sure that I maintain a schedule that allows me to do that, because it's an outlet for me to blow off some steam or whatever the case may be. It doesn't always have to be these grandiose things, but it's important to have those little things in place, because it can help you when you are going through different seasons of your organization thriving or maybe not in the best position, when you have so many people pulling and tugging on you emotionally and professionally for different things. My personal life, for example, I like to take vacation once a month. I can travel across the country, I can do a road trip, I can do an international trip, but I have to have at least one vacation where it's just a weekend getaway, where I'm by myself. I'm able to just really recharge, because I personally recharge best when I'm alone. And so knowing, again, who you are as a leader really helps you to understand what habits and mechanisms that needs to be in place, so that you are able to show up and not be burnt out when you're in social impact work, where literally the work you do is literally impacting people. You're working with people day in and day out. It's not always transactional. You are wanting to hopefully be transformational in the work that you do. It can be a lot to bear, especially if you're in certain spaces of the social impact sector and you're working with vulnerable populations that have been forgotten, that are in desperate need, that have been abused, whatever the case may be. You have to make sure that you are in the best headspace so that you can show up for them, because they need you, in addition to your staff needing you. You aren't what you do, but the work that you do matters. And so making sure that you're prioritizing what is important to you and understanding those core values will help you to develop a system that can protect you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally as you step into leadership. And one other point that I want to make before I conclude this section, I think a lot of us have leadership wrong, as in the type of impact we make. Leadership isn't about numbers all the time. And when I say numbers, it can be how much money is being made, and it can also be the number of people that are watching you. Leadership is about the impact that is made. So if you are leading 30 people, but you are making a positive impact on those 30 individuals, then you're doing a great job. Versus if you're leading hundreds of thousands of people, but you don't have integrity, you don't have character as you lead, then does it really matter how many numbers are watching you? And so as you guys are developing your programs and stuff, don't wait until you get the numbers to start working on yourself as a leader. Leadership starts in your personal life when no one is watching you. And then as the influence and the impact and the people come, it doesn't really move you, because it's like, well, I've already been doing this. I may have to pivot a little bit here, a little bit there, but I am who I am, and I'm confident in my leadership abilities. And so again, as you guys are assessing your leadership development and what you need and what you have, making sure that you have the proper systems in place are important to help you lead others and serve others well. I could go on and on and on about leadership development. There are so many perspectives, so many self-help videos and books and resources available about leadership, but I do think that this video gives a different perspective of things that you guys should consider as you are engaging in social impact work, focusing on the policies, the programs, the impact evaluation, the objectives, the outcomes. All of those things are very lucrative to ensuring that your programs and projects are successful. But at the end of the day, if you aren't in the best headspace in place, then what does it mean? What does it matter? And so you want to make sure that you are focusing on developing yourself as the leader that your staff, your volunteers, your board of directors, and other stakeholders that you engage with, that they're going to need, because they're looking to you, and you can lean on others and you shall lean on others. But you want to make sure, again, that you are regularly assessing who you are as a leader. And again, I want to drive home that leadership is not all about numbers. It is okay to bring in the big dollars. It's okay to see the numbers, because we need those. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are making maximum impact, even if it's on one person. One person's life being changed can change the trajectory of a nation. That's just something that I personally believe. And so work on who you are as a leader when nobody is watching, so that when everybody begins to watch, you are prepared, you are as ready as you can be, and everything that you need to do is already in place for you to do those things. And so I hope and pray that this video was helpful for you guys. And if there is any specific thing that I covered in this video, such as the leadership styles that you guys want me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. But until next time, try to make the world a better place today.